I knew their heart-wrenching stories long before I flew halfway around the world, but it didn't make them any easier to hear.
그때 엄청난 고문들을 많이 받았어요. 그 일을 하다 보면, 밀수랑을 하다 보면은 여러 번 잡혀요. 반복을 많이 하는데.
These young smugglers are part of an underground resistance in North Korea, pushing the limits against one of the most oppressive regimes on the planet.
목숨 걸고 한국까지 왔는데 일단은
risking everything for an unexpected tool for freedom: makeup. The Democratic People's Republic of Korea, better known as North Korea, was born after World War II, when the once united Korean peninsula was split. You probably know it best for its eccentric millennial dictator, Kim Jong-un, his arsenal of nuclear weapons, and his tit-for-tat with international leaders. In North Korea, access to the internet and cell phones is heavily restricted, and few are allowed to leave. The longest-running communist dynasty has survived by ruling with an iron fist. But there's a new wave of resistance brewing, only it might not look how you think. Seoul, South Korea is known for street after street of beauty boutiques carrying the latest South Korean products, known as K-beauty.
Wow, I love lipstick.
In less than a decade, it's exploded into a more than $13 billion industry. The sheer amount of choices and information can be exhilarating, especially for 27-year-old Jessie Kim.
고객님께서는 양쪽의 컬러를 같이 가지고 있는 뉴트럴 톤이에요.
She and I same neutral color?
네, 맞아요.
My God, really?
We're both neutral.
So good.
Jessie grew up in North Korea under oppressive rule.
옛날에는 막 컨트롤해야 되는 그러한 속에서
She's part of a new generation that's pushing boundaries in an unexpected way.
머리를 기르면 안 된다? 머리를 기르면 안 되고, 그리고 머리를 염색을 하는데 다른 컬러? 옛날에는 이런 뷰티를 사려면 되게 뭔가 숨어서 사야 되고 불법적으로 구매를 해야 되고 되게 고향에서는 그러한 느낌이었는데
Strict rules around appearance are used by the North Korean regime as a form of control. Visual confirmation of whether or not you fall in line. A state-issued guide outlines specific hairstyles and lengths approved by the supreme leader. Salon menus show the cuts that are allowed. Appearances are so regulated that any deviations can lead to public shaming and even arrest. But what's strictly controlled by the regime is still finding its way in.
눈초리 올리는 거, 립스틱이라고 얘기를 하잖아요, 여기로. 그러면은 입술 바르는 거. 볼 터치 있잖아요. 그럼 볼에다가 빨간색 올리는 거.
Donbi Kim started a business smuggling basic goods into North Korea at just 14 years old, but she quickly realized that beauty and fashion items were the most in demand.
뷰티 제품은 이제 북한 여성들한테 정말 인기 있는 제품이기 때문에.
What kind of items were most requested?
그래서 그렇게 나오는 것들을 사람들이 많이 원해가지고 아이라이너랑 그 다음에 팩.
Many North Koreans barely know what South Korean K-beauty products are even called, but they know they want them.
제한테 이제 물건을 오더를 하는 거예요. 나 이런 물건이 몇백 대 필요하다. 그러면 나는 그 오더를 받아서 중국에 있는 사람한테 이제 물건을 달라 그래가지고.
You were getting hundreds of orders from all over North Korea.
몇백 개는 작은 거예요.
The demand for South Korean products is high, but how do they even know that they exist?
The best way to understand K-beauty is within the Korean wave.
The Korean wave, a tsunami of popular South Korean culture. Boy bands and girl bands, K-dramas and films, and the latest wave, K-beauty.
So as you see here, we have 4 different kinds of masks. This microtip patch has a needle here.
Wait, there's needles on these sheet masks?
Iconic South Korean brand, Dr. Jart, is at the forefront of K-beauty.
It's like a lab down here.
Its progress is part of a larger experiment.
We've got some support with our global marketing activities, such as a pop-up store project in US and in China.
So the government awarded Dr. Jart funding so we can go out into the world and do pop-up stores and spread the word even further internationally.
Yeah.
It's part of a government strategy to export Korean culture and build international influence. It's called soft power.
In international relations, if we talk about soft power, that's usually in contrast to what we call hard power. So when we talk about hard power, we normally think of something like, bombs, guns, military might. When we talk about soft power, we're trying to use the power of attraction to get the counterpart to do what we would think is desirable behavior.
So if hard power is forcing people to like you, soft power is getting them to like you.
Yeah.
This soft power strategy has been vital to South Korea becoming an economic powerhouse by bringing in tens of billions of dollars. The Korean wave has reached countries all over the world, including its adversarial neighbor. K-dramas smuggled into North Korea through flash drives have spread like wildfire, and so have its beauty trends.
We've heard from North Koreans how they began to wonder, why can't we have these things ourselves?
Liberty in North Korea is a nonprofit that helps North Koreans defect and tracks the information they bring out of the country with them.
It's this sort of shared disobedience, you could say. In a country that's as restrictive as North Korea, this is a really interesting and important signal.
저는 항상 그러니까 종업에서 하지 말라고 하면은 전 더 했던 것 같아요. 대신 눈치를 보면서 피해 다니죠.
You were a rebel.
Jessie was able to avoid being arrested. But Donby paid a heavy price. One night, North Korean officials came to Donby's home and arrested her entire family. They accused her older brother of being a spy, a common umbrella charge for going against the regime. She was just 17.
친구랑 나랑 거의 가족들 한 30명 정도가 새벽에 다 잡혀갔었어요. 이러고 차에 태워가지고 거의 한 몇 시간을 계속 갔던 것 같아요. 그리고 그냥 외진 산골 같은 이런 곳에 들어갔어요. 갔는데 여기가 일반 이런 감옥이 아니구나라는 걸 느껴가지고요.
Punishments for rule breakers in North Korea are horrifying. The state has a secret network of camps and detention centers that it denies exists, despite detailed satellite images and verified testimonies collected by the UN. Drawings from prison camp survivors detail the conditions they endured: eating rats to survive, barbaric forms of torture, and even mass executions. It's estimated that around 200,000 North Koreans are imprisoned in camps today.
고문이라는 고문은 다 받았어요. 오순고각자에 맞고 그렇게 한 달을 앉아 있으니까 다리랑 다 몸이 부어가지고 화장실을 갔는데 바지가 안 내려가가지고요. 바지를 찢고 화장일을 봤어요, 그때. 그 아프고 힘든 속에서 오빠 때문에 이겨냈어요. 오빠가 그때 그랬어요, 나한테. 오빠가 다 했다고 할 테니까 너는 살아서 나가가지고 가족을 챙기라고 그랬어. 아무것도 한 거 없이 오빠가 다 한 걸로. 제가 장사할 때, 밀수할 때 그런 있었던 일까지 다 오빠가 한 걸로 하고 제가 이제 거기서 나와가지고요. 오빠가 그렇게 되면서 하루아침에 집이 그냥 풍지박살났어요. 뭔가 오빠를 살릴 수 있는 길이 또 한국에 오면 있지 않을까 그런 생각도 들고.
Donby's decision to leave wasn't an easy one. Defecting from North Korea is a difficult journey. South Korea has an open-door policy, but there's no easy way to get there. The demilitarized zone between the two countries makes it nearly impossible to cross at the border. Instead, most take their chances through China and then on to Mongolia or Southeast Asia, hoping to make it to a country that won't send them back. Liberty in North Korea's footage gives us a rare view into the harrowing journey.
You may face the risk of being shot in the back as you're trying to get to the other side, or caught midway through and being dragged all the way back in the act of trying to get across. There's no time to think. Sometimes they don't even eat because they're so nervous and scared. That's about a 3,000-mile journey, longer than the distance between New York and LA. Once they get to Southeast Asia and our team greets them, it's always a mix of emotions. Some people are just so exhausted, they just pass out. Others are just so overjoyed because this is the first time that they are truly free.
Of the more than 25 million people living in North Korea, it's estimated that about 1,000 safely escape each year. Hannah and her team are involved every step of the way. They've seen what matters most to defectors who make it to safety.
The basics are the most important, but every so often women will ask for BB cream, or maybe they'll ask for hair dye or face masks.
Some people might look at this very small step of what you do, which is putting together these kits, and say, why would someone from North Korea need a face mask? What would your response to that be?
I can only imagine how difficult that journey is. And so to come through that, even if there's something small we can provide, like a face mask, what's so wrong about wanting to really look their best as they're really starting a new life?
It's a reminder that K-beauty's impact goes beyond face value. It's a tool of comfort, resistance, and especially international influence. I'm about to learn just how far that influence goes when it comes to North Korea. Just last year, Kim Jong-un declared that North Korea was getting into the global luxury cosmetics game to make, in his words, the world's best cosmetics.
Is K-beauty a threat to North Korea?
Yeah, I think so. The South Korean K-beauty's threat to the Kim Jong-un regimes. It is important for North Korea prevent the South Korean K-beauties to enter the North Korean society.
Professor Nam is one of the few people in the world who's studying North Korean beauty products. He offered to show me what NK beauty looks like.
I wouldn't know that any of this is from North Korea if I wasn't standing in your office looking at products that you basically can't find in most of the world. Trying North Korean state-created beauty products for the first time. It doesn't smell like a beauty product. It doesn't have that like florally, fragrancy smell that beauty products will have, and it smells more like it's like an edible product.
For the countries of North and South Korea, beauty has become a new weapon in the race for power. For its people, it's a driver of change.
These small changes that are happening are being driven by North Korean people. This is really where there's hope.
오, 예쁘다.
The reality is, beauty isn't going to free North Korea, but curiosity about self-expression creates curiosity about the outside world.
그 외의 사람들, 나 같은 사람들, 그 북한의 생활을 이어나가는 사람들, 북한 사회를 이끌고 그 변화를 이끌어가는 그 또 다른 북한 사람들이 있어요.
It's empowering the younger generations to imagine a new kind of North Korea.
더 이상 북한의 인권에 대해서 억압받지 말고 전 그냥 바라는 게 그거 하나예요.
Thanks for watching Refinery29. For more videos like this, click here, and to subscribe, click here.